Hi ladies, I'm Samantha Jacobs. I'm a licensed acupuncturist located in Richfield, Connecticut. I've been treating fertility for over 15 years. Today's video is going to be about the mental and emotional part that goes into how we feel about time. The internal clock is being triggered inside of us, and when it gets triggered, women will say to me, I got to do this as soon as possible because I might not be fertile. Like, my fertility may, go away. Because fertility doesn't disappear in a month, 2 months, or 3 months. And that the idea that there's a sudden cutoff is really a fallacy. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to look up the definition of time. And I found two that I really feel they resonate with me and the message that I want to convey. So let's have a look at the definition of time. Time, a definite portion of time allotted, used, or suitable for a purpose. Time, favorable or appropriate. Time to do something, the right moment. When you read these definitions about time, this is about you making decisions for yourself. This is about how you want to use time, how you see your time being suitable. It's about you making decisions that it's the right moment for you. There's nothing in these definitions that says time runs out. Part of the work I do with women who are trying to conceive is to help them understand where they are on the mental and emotional journey and how that is affecting their ability to give time to the journey. And the best analogy that I have come up with is the gas tank in the car. So these are two ends of the spectrum, right? And as I mentioned before, there's a lot in the gray zone. So the majority of people watching this video are going to be in the gray zone. And if you're in this part, this is optimal. This is awesome to be in this part of the zone. If you're at the bottom here, then it's a red flag, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So the idea is that we have energy inside of our body. In Chinese medicine, we call it qi. There's lots of other names that are used, but it's the energy that can be used in many different ways. And one of the ways it can be used is to help us stay focused, dedicated, helps us have a purpose, and keeps us motivating to move forward. So optimally, if your car's got a full tank of gas, you know you're going to be able to probably drive 5 hours. And you'll be able to go a solid 5 hours. There's no problems. You can get to the end of your journey. If you have a quarter of a tank of gas, that's going to give you less time on the journey. So it's probably going to give you about 2 hours of driving time. So what the analogy here is that the more your tanks are full, the more stamina that you can have on the journey. The less gas you have in your tank, the harder it will be to stay motivated and focused on the journey. And this gray zone in here, this is where you can start to see your energy starting to be depleted. So at the beginning point, as your energy is starting to be depleted on the journey, the first basic things you're going to notice are tension. Generally, women hold tension in their chest, so you'll feel it kind of as pressure. And we get a lot of ruminating thoughts, busy mind. And in fact, you may feel tension or pressure in one part of your brain where all that talking is going on. Those are the beginning points. That's the beginning point of the tank starting to go low. So they're very, very basic. And, we experience it all the time in our normal life. It can be very transient, and depending on the situation, it can stick with us for a while. If it's transient, it doesn't have as much ability to drain us, but it does drain us as it stays consistent and it stays with us for a long period of time. And obviously, as a woman is going on this journey and experiencing all the different parts of seeking help, that will also drain your tank. And sitting in a doctor's office, being poked and prodded, being told about everything that's not working or that's wrong or what you should be doing, it's hard. That is really hard. And it takes a lot of stamina to stay strong and keep that tank full. So as we go on this journey, that tension becomes more consistent in women. And then the tanks start to get a little lower. And what happens as we reach down to the lower part of where energy is really low, I see women coming to me with really strong physical symptoms: irritable bowel syndrome, migraines, headaches, insomnia. Those are some of the more common symptoms I see. Other symptoms of your tank being low is more emotional. So waking up and feeling blue, irritability, short-temperedness. So as you can see, it's quite a large spectrum, but what is really noticeable is as the energy becomes lower and lower and lower, it presents more physically. Because if you still need to drive 5 hours a day and you only have 2 hours of gas, the last 3 hours of that journey is going to be really hard. So you'll start to see the physical symptoms. What's really helpful is to stay in tune with where is the baseline. So if the baseline is in the middle, you may notice, oh, I had a really great weekend, husband and I had fun, energy goes up. Oh, did an IUI, stuck myself with a bunch of needles, got poked and prodded, energy goes down. So if you can pay attention to where the baseline is and see how things influence your energy as it goes up and down, that can be incredibly empowering. Anything that is depleting and you know it's going to be coming up, like say an IVF cycle or an IUI, you can plan ahead. Go to the movies, hang out with a friend, get the husband to do something fun. It's like you can plan ahead to fill up the tank, and then when you go through the procedure, it won't deplete you as much as if you hadn't put gas in the tank. I can actually really give a very good example of a woman who was in my practice for a while. Amazing, amazing woman. God bless her. This became a big deal in her journey. And when she came to me, she had had 2 failed IVF cycles. She had high FSH. She, I think, was 38 or 39 years old. And basically, she had been told, the gig is up, the days are done. Your IVF cycles, poor responder, didn't make enough eggs. I think like 1 egg fertilized and went for genetic testing, and it didn't come back. So when she came to me, she was actually right in here. And, I said to her, if you can kind of let go of a timeline, because Western medicine is telling you time is up. If you can give me time, I think I can make a difference. And she wasn't sure she could do it because her tanks were so low. And she just felt beaten down. The whole system had beaten her down, and she was depressed because her whole life she had always wanted 2 kids, and she had one. She had one through IVF, and that child I think was like 4 or 5 years old. So she really felt beaten down. And throughout all the months that she was with me, we constantly did work on this mental and emotional journey. It was work for her on some level, but she kept trying to fill her tanks up. And every week she could keep making it to the next week. And I think probably within 3 or 4 months, her FSH had dropped dramatically, and her cycle was regular. We had a really great RE who tweaked her with some drugs. And about 6 months in, things were really good. She was just like, you know what? I don't think I can do this anymore. Let's keep going. And if you can't, you can't. And we'll just keep going. And she did. She hung in. And at 9 months, she said to me, I'm ready to try IVF again. But she got pregnant. She conceived naturally. But this played in big time. And it wasn't like she came to me and it was like, I have all the time in the world for you. And that being present with her where she was at was really helpful. If you can find a friend or a support system that can support where you're at, you might find then you'll be able to go the 5 hours of driving time, because support can actually help to keep you fueled up. If we're looking at time and how your mental and emotional energy plays into how much time you have to give, how much gas is in that car to keep you on the journey, there's some things that play into it. So the first thing I've noticed is where the woman is on her journey. So in the example I gave just earlier, the client had been on the journey quite a while. So the journey takes stamina and a lot of courage and focus and dedication, and that requires a lot of energy. And that can be depleting for some clients. Some women aren't so depleted by it. In fact, some women are kind of energized by it. So it actually increases the energy that they have to give to the journey. The second thing I've noticed is that a mental and emotional energy will be affected by the layers, the multi-layers in a woman's case. So the more layers that are playing into a woman's fertility, high FSH, endometriosis, PCOS, these components will also affect your mental and emotional energy. So you can start having a look at where you are on the journey. You can look at what's going on in the layers in your case. So this is one way of empowering yourself, is to check in with your body and see how these components are playing into the gas tank in your car. The empowerment of time really can be influenced by your mental and emotional energy. When your tanks are full, you have a really great support system. You have a treatment team that you feel comfortable with. It's amazing how much easier this whole journey can be. And I can't emphasize enough that the more you become depleted, the less time you're going to feel. Your body, your internal body is going to tell you time is running out. And so this can be really helpful in being truthful and honest with yourself about where you are on the journey. I hope that this video has empowered you to see time from a different perspective, that time is not an endpoint where everything just suddenly disappears, that time is far more complicated, and that this component, the mental and emotional component of time, is a big player in how you feel about time. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or any other ideas for videos, please post away. And I will be back for video number 3 on time. And I appreciate you listening. Thank you.